Yeah, hello guys. Welcome back to the part two of Let's Build Facebook Clan, the blog bug. Okay, now, so today we want to implement the login system. So we have this interface right here. So we want to be able to log in right into our account. When I press login, this should take me to my account. If I lost my password, I can easily recover it. But for now, I want to implement the login system. Then they create new account. Okay, so we're going to be doing this using the PHP programming language. Okay, don't be panic. I know somebody will say, "Oh my God, what is PHP? I never write PHP. I don't know what PHP is." Okay, fine, don't worry. I'm gonna take you right from scratch to the expert mode in PHP. So the first thing we need to do in order to run PHP is to actually provide a local server on our system. So the local server I'm going to be using on my system is XAMPP. So you can go ahead, get XAMPP. That is because I am actually, so I'm just gonna say XAMPP. Then write on Google search results. I'll click the first results. Okay, so I can actually download for my operating system. So if you're on Mac, if you're on Linux, if you're on PHP, you can easily download XAMPP for any programming, any operating system. Okay, so what I'm just going to do now is to just click on download. Okay, so this is asking me to choose where I want to save this file. So I'll click on save. So basically, if you need to run PHP only runs on server. So if you need to run it on your PC, you need a local server, and that is what we are doing. So there's another way of actually doing this, but we won't have access to database. That is by using the PHP setup, but we won't have access to database. So that is why we choose a local server to do this. So if I click save, this is going to save to my PC. So I don't want to download this. So once you're done, you can just proceed with the installation. When you're done with the installation, you can join us again. Okay, so I'm done with my XAMPP installation. So if you open up your file explorer or Windows Explorer, if you're on Windows, so I'll go to local disk C, then I'll have XAMPP right here. Okay, so we don't really need much. We don't really need much here. So the only thing we need here is the control and the ht docs. This is where all the files will live, all your projects. You can see these are some of my projects. So this is where everything will live. So what I'm just going to do now is to go back and grab this our project folder, Facebook. So I name mine Facebook. Um, say okay. I can just right click on public CSS and say reveal in File Explorer. All right. So this is my project folder. So what I'll just do is right click and copy. So go back to the htdocs, then paste it. Okay, so we have the Facebook right here. So what I'm just going to do from here, so I'll close this. Okay, I will click on this and say open with code. That is, if you are using Visual Studio Code, then if you are not using Visual Studio Code, you can easily open it with any text editor of your choice. So I'll say open with code. Okay, so what I'll just do is to close the first one. So I'll just close the first project like that. So since we have it here, okay. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is to actually start our server. So to actually start our server, so this is so I'm gonna open the control panel. So the reason why I don't use this, I'm gonna show you in a bit. Okay, let's wait for that. So this is fire up. So you can go ahead and start your server. So if you're having problem installing PHP, installing the XAMPP on server, you can just go to your control panel, make sure you check for update, make sure that all your system is up to date, then run the installation again. Um, Come on, I don't want us to do something else. Okay, wait for that. Why is this closed there? Oh, I don't want to open this 2 times, so I'll just click again to open this. Okay, okay, so this is the XAMPP control panel. Okay, you can see that we have my SQL right here, my SQL right here. So I'm going to start that. Then I'm going to start the server itself. Okay, so once you are done with that, you can just go to your browser right now and say localhost forward slash the name of your project. So if I go back to the HT docs, so my project name is Facebook and Facebook. So you should see the results, I mean the home page, which is the index page. You should see it. So, but on my PC, I have to go to localhost 8080. Okay, don't worry about this. This is actually due to some of the changes I've made on my machine. Okay, so if you go to localhost forward slash Facebook, you should see this home page, which is the index file that was created earlier. Okay, so at the same time, if I say login dot forward slash login dot html, wait for that. What happened? Let's see. I think the file name. Okay, this is login dot html. What happened? Okay, mine I have to put dot adhd. So this is actually due to the installation of MySQL workbench, but you don't actually need to worry about this. On your PC, just do localhost forward slash Facebook forward slash login.html. So you should have this page. Okay, so what we want to implement now is when I click this form should get submitted to the server. Okay, to actually do this, you know, we need some kind of database where all the data will be saved. But before I move down to that side, I want to quickly introduce you guys to PHP. Okay, so you can't actually run a PHP script inside .html file. So what I'm just going to do first is to change this to .php because PHP only runs on .php files. So that is .php. If I go back to the home page of our project, Oh, same mistake again. So 80, I have to pass in 80. Okay, you can see that nothing changes. That is because it doesn't change anything. Just that you will be able to write your PHP script. Okay, so let's quickly look at some concepts in PHP programming language. But first of all, why do we use PHP? You say it's really funny because one of the most popular social media platform is actually running on PHP, which is Facebook. So why do we use PHP exactly? You know, if you are using a backend programming language such as PHP, Python, any script you write, it is not actually going to be visible, unlike using JavaScript. So if I do this, if I say hello, okay, don't worry about this yet. We are going to talk about that. So if I say hello, so if I refresh the page, if I inspect the page rather, inspect, now go to elements. Okay, am I not supposed to be seeing the comments? You see this comment right here. Okay, that's one of the features of PHP. I mean, back-end programming language in general. Any code that you write is not going to be visible. The source code is not going to be visible to the user. That is one thing. Then the other thing is that it is very easy to interact with data, database, and all. And again, if you're looking at blog these days, I mean blogs these days, if we go to WordPress, I don't know if you ever visited WordPress. So this is one of the most popular, I mean, let's just say the most popular CMS, that is content management system for bloggings, and to create websites fast and easily, that is WordPress. And if I tell you that WordPress is actually running on PHP, it is a PHP framework. So this is one of the aspects and one of the main thing and the main reason why you have to learn PHP. Because if you're looking at website nowadays, everything is moving to WordPress. So let me quickly show you how WordPress scripts actually look like. So close this. So I'm just trying to open another VS Code. If I have this, what did I use to save this? Okay, I think, so let me go to users. I should have my website. Okay, local site. DJ. Okay, go back. Okay, perfect. So public. So this is actually some kind of WordPress backend. You can see that we have .php in all the files. So if I go to theme, so BJ, so this is actually a theme that I built myself. If I open with code, okay, but seriously, this is not a WordPress tutorial. But if you want me to do a full comprehensive course on building WordPress theme, so you can just drop the comment right below, then I'm going to attend to that. But for now, I just want to show you guys how the WordPress sheet looks like. if I look for functions that say this is actually how you enqueue, we call it enqueue scripts in WordPress. So this is actually a WordPress code, but as you can see, it's built on PHP. So I'm going to close that. So let's continue the journey. So let's get rid of this. And what should we do? So should I change this to PHP? Okay, let's make this a PHP script also. So PHP, okay, okay. Now let's have another folder. Let's call it includes. So this is going to house all our PHP scripts, PHP files. So the first file I'm going to have here, I'll call it config.php. Okay, so what is this config? You see, by the name, it is used for configuration. Although you can name this anything that you want, so I can also name it con. I use con most of the time, which is meant for connection. So I'm just going to take this back to config.php. Okay, so here we want to actually declare some kind of connection to the database. So let's say, let me create a comment. Okay, this is not actually working. So the reason why this is happening is that before you can write a PHP code, you have to use this. So you have to, this is starting for PHP scripts, the entry for PHP scripts, and this will mark the end of the PHP script. So whatever you want to write can go in here, but it has to be a PHP script. Okay, but you don't actually need to worry about this because we are going to look at all some of the concepts one by one. So the first thing we need to do is to actually declare a variable. I mean some variable declaration variable declaration in PHP. Okay, so since I want to make connection to the database, if you have actually if you have previously worked on anything database server before, you will know that we need something we call server. Okay, okay, so this dollar sign, this means that this is a variable, and the variable this is a variable name. I mean identifier for a variable. Then I'm going to pass in value. So this is identifier and this is the variable. Okay, let me quickly show you guys something. If I say welcome to Blowbook, okay, so I can go ahead, refresh the page. So I'm gonna have welcome to Blowbook. Let's just close this. Okay, so what I'm just gonna do here is to wrap this. So then I'm going to declare a variable. So I'll call the variable. I'll say the variable name, which is user name equals to. So I'm gonna put logic. So now you have to terminate each statement with this semicolon in PHP. So what I'm just gonna do is instead of greeting the user, so let's say echo. So echo is used to print something out in PHP. Now I have to say this echo, then I have to terminate this. So I want to print out echo hello world. So if I refresh, we will have hello world. Okay, so let's wrap this inside an h1 tag, just like we did before. H1 tag. So refresh, so we have hello world. So at the same time, I can say welcome to Blue book. Okay, so welcome to Book. So I want to look for a way to actually pass in this name so we can easily greet the user. So what I am going to do now is I can do this in many ways. So let's just pass in the username and space. Okay, so refresh that. So we have logic. Welcome to Book. So you can see that I easily pass in the variable and everything went well. Then again, I can use this. Okay, so what I did now is I concluded this string right here. Then I added, I concatenate, we call this concatenate to join two strings together. So this is a string, this is another string, then I join them together. Then again, I join this to the collection. So if I save that and refresh, we still have the same result. So that is concatenation and variable declaration in PHP. Okay. So so we want to declare the server name. So I'm gonna call that localhost for the server. Of course, you know it is on your local computer, so that is localhost. If you don't understand this, you don't need to worry because as we are going, things will be more clearer. So again, we actually need a user access to access the database. I mean the server. Then again, whoever have username must have a password. So for the local host, the username is actually root by default. Then password will be empty. Then the database, which is the name of database that we are using. So the database, we have not create any database for this yet. So what I'm just going to do is to go back here. Then instead of saying /Facebook, and once again, mine just have this by chance. So you don't have to put that. You say /PHP my admin, and don't let me forget this /PHP my admin. So if I open that, so this is going to open a server admin for you. We call it PHP my admin. So here I can create and manage databases locally. So what I'm just going to do, you should see this new button right here. So I'm going to click new. So we are going to name our database Facebook. So you don't have to worry about this. So just click create. Okay, so this is telling us to open to create a table. You can see that our database for now is empty. There's no table. So the table that we're going to create first will be users. So for now we are going to leave it as number of columns 4. So I'll click go. Okay. So first of all will have the ID. Then again, we want to have user ID. Okay, so this is the difference here. This is going to be ID that will be incrementing, I mean, one by one plus one. Like whenever you create any user, the ID will be plus one, plus one, plus one. This is kind of like a unique ID. I mean, a primary key. I am actually looking for. Okay, so this is it. Auto increment. You have to check this. Okay, so this is going to change to primary. Fine. So this user ID, it is actually like we are going to generate a random ID for each user on sign up. If I go to my profile, we actually have this. This is user slug. This is this is the ID I'm talking about. So we have the user ID right here. Then the type. we are going to make this variable character. Then the length, we are going to just give it to 155. Then again, you want to have full name. But before that, we just want to have email. Then we want to have password. So let's go to 55 again. And this is very important, 255. Then this is going to be variable character also. Okay, so with this, a user can log in, email and password. That is all you need to log in. So I'm just going to say save from here. Okay, so now we have the user table inside a Facebook database. So we have our database now. So from here, I'm just going to pass in database. Okay, so for us to test if all this is correct, I'm going to say SQL equals to my SQL hi underscore connect. So I want to connect to a database right now. So if you say this is telling us that, okay, we need a host name, which is the server. We need the username, then we need password, and we need database. Okay. So I think we have all the four. So I say server, then user, password, and database. Okay. So let's now just print R SQL. Okay. So if I go back to my browser, I'm going to close this. Go back to my browser, say localhost 8080. And once again, just have to say localhost on your own system. So I'll say Facebook, and don't forget includes then config.php. So we actually want to see what is inside this SQL. Want to see what is inside the SQL. Want to see the meaning of this MySQL dot or underscore connect. Okay, so I have an error right here. So that is actually because as I told you, mine I have done some kind of settings, so I can't actually use this. I have to pass in 3380. Then if I refresh that, although you don't need to do this from your hand, just say localhost, and that will be good. Open 3308. Oh my God. So I'll refresh that. Okay, so this is actually what is coming. Okay, so this is telling us all this information. This information. Okay, so now we can just say if SQL. So this is how to use if statements in PHP. So I'll say if not SQL, okay, we don't actually need this. Don't actually need this because we only need the SQL connection. Okay, for now. Now let's create a login .php here. So I use this underscore so as to differentiate it from the first one. Okay, so I'm going to show you the reason why I created this file right now. Okay, where is our login form? Okay, so this is actually our login form. So I want to set the action to include / this login.php. Okay, so whenever I submit this form, the form will get submitted to this file right here. So whenever I submit the form, I just want to print out echo form submitted, or let's just say login form submitted. So whenever I submit this form, I've set the the action to this. Then I'm going to set the method. Again, you actually need the method. I'm going to set that to post because I'm actually trying to post data into my database. This has to be the login page. Call this first. Where is the login page? So this is the login page. So paste that. Whoops. So paste that. Oh, what is this? Paste that to login. Then for this, where is the login button? So this is actually the login button. I'm gonna set the type of the button to submit. Then I'm gonna name it. I'm gonna give it a name. And I'm gonna say login ptn. Okay. So I'm gonna pass in a name here. Name. Let's call that password. I'm gonna pass in name here. Let's call that email. Okay. If you can remember, our database is still empty for now. So what I will just do before we move on is to add in some data into this database. So I'll say insert. So this is actually the primary case, so you don't need to worry about that. So let's just put some random ID here. Let's say logic at Facebook at bluebook.com. Okay, so let's say password should be password. Okay, I think yeah, that for. Now I'll say go. Okay, so this is it. Start into blah blah blah. So we have that. If I go back, to browse, so we have new information right here. Okay. Now once I submit the form is going to go right inside this place. Okay. Now let's open the login page and just submit the form, and let's see what will happen. Login.php. We've changed the name to login.php. So this doesn't stop the form to behave the normal way. Okay. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to pass in random stuff, the password random stuff. Click login. Okay, URL was not found. Oops. So that coming here, I actually passed in this forward slash. So let's remove that. Okay, now let's submit again. Oops. Let's remove that. Let's refresh. Let's submit again. Then form submitted. Okay, so we are here now, but we actually need to get all the data that was submitted into the form. But first of all, I want to check if the user actually submitted the form. So we say if it's set, that is, if you actually submit this form which the method was post. So we call this we call this global variable. So global variable post. Okay. So we want to say if it's set, that is, if I actually click this button right here. So I want to pass in the name of the button. So if it's set login button, then let the show begin. Okay, so if I actually press this login button, if I actually submit the form using this button, then all this should happen. So I've saved that, go back, refresh the page, then submit. Okay. Okay, so let's see what will happen if I didn't submit the form using the button. So you can see that on this page I refresh and nothing happened again. Okay, so that means if the user doesn't submit the form the right way. So this is just to prevent some malicious activity. Okay, so now I want to say header. Then with this, I can redirect the page location. Then I want to go back. So this is actually to go back. So we are inside this folder. So I can go back to the main directory. Then login.php. So we are sending the user back to login.php. That is if they don't submit the form the right way. Okay, so now, but look at when I submit the form. Okay, form submitted. Okay, now, so we want to get all the data that was submitted with the form. So the first data we need to get is the email address. So the email is going to be post, then email. So this is actually the name of the input tag. So name, email, and name for this is password. Okay. So password. Okay. So now that we have all the two inputs, in order for us to confirm, you can just do email and do password. So I do this a lot just to make sure I'm on the right track. So can you see? I think email stops somewhere and password stops somewhere. Okay, now we have this. Okay, so we're not going to be doing much of validation right here. So what we need to do at first is to check if the email and password is not empty. Okay, so I'm going to use if statement in PHP. If not empty, so that means if the email is not empty, or for instance, let's say if empty email or empty password. Okay, so if either of this is empty, I want to pass a message say form cannot be empty. Okay, so if we go back, refresh the page, submit that form cannot be empty. That is because both the email and password is empty. So if you fill only the email, you don't fill the password to still return the same thing. Okay. So what we can do now is to actually change the header. So if any of this is empty, to actually change the header to location, then the same thing, login.php with message equals to, or probably error equals to empty. Okay, so don't worry about this because we are going to target this inside this login.php, the main login.php. We are going to target that. We are going to say, we are going to say, um, let's drop in PHP right here. So this is one cool thing about PHP. You can put it anywhere. You can write PHP code anywhere. It's just so fucking good. Now, what we need to do to actually get the message out is to say if is set, then we are going to use the super global variable gets. So this will get the any value pass into the URL for us. So for now, we passed in error, or we actually want to check if the error is there. You know, when you first open the login page, there won't be any error. So we just want to check if the error is set. I want to say from report, this is a variable equals a div with class you can see how easy it is to wrap in HTML code inside PHP script. So I'll say invalid login, email, and or password. We just want to make things easy for us. Okay, so the class will be alert danger. These are Bootstrap classes. Okay, now you have to terminate this. Don't forget, you have to terminate it. Okay, now we said if this is set, then we set this variable. But what if this is not set? That means the variable will not be found. So what we can do is to actually come right before everything, then declare, open my PHP and set this to empty string. So this is going to be empty string. Then if this happens, then it is going to change to all this. Now let's copy that. Where is our login? So let's just toggle this sign up. Yeah, right there. So let's look for this and just drop this form report right here. But you don't just drop it, you have to wrap it inside PHP script. Then at the same time you say echo. So this is to print something out in PHP. So I save that. Okay. Okay, so I will, yeah, you can see that. So when we submitted the form, when we submit the form to this place, so this check if all those, if the inputs are empty, then if it's empty, it's going to take us back to the login page with error message empty. Then that is why we have this. Okay, so what if it's not empty? Now what we need to do now is to actually go to the database, check if the user does exist. If not, tell the user that the user does not exist. Tell the user that the email address cannot be found. But I won't want us to do that. We can just leave this error message right here. So what we need to do now, because I want to break all this so that it will be easier for us in the future. So I want to break everything. Okay, so let's say check email in the database, or probably get user from the database. Get user from the database. Okay, so now we have to make some connection with the database. So I'm gonna have query. So we have to send in some query. I'll say select or from, so the name of our database now. We use Facebook. Now where the email equals the user email. Okay. Now simply because we will be using my SQL high, which is the extension of normal MySQL. So I will be passing this just to escape the, okay. So I pass this. So this is right above the tab key on your keyboard. Then I pass this. This is right after the colon key on your keyboard. Okay. Now this is the query. Now we want to execute the query. Now we can have say results equals to MySQL I underscore query. Now this is going to take in two things: the connection to the database and the query. So let's pass in SQL here, and let's say query. Now this is going to return error simply because this SQL is not available in this file. So we have to include. So this is how we use other file resources in PHP. We will include them. So I will say include the config.php. So that means I can use whatever we have inside this config.php inside this file. Okay. Now we actually have our results. So this is actually the result. Now we have to test if the rows, whatever is coming from the database, the record, they are going to be in form of rows. Now we want to test if the rows, let's say count equals MySQL underscore number of rows. So number of rows of this result. Now we want to say if count is greater than 0, so that means we have results. Now let's fetch each result. So let's say while. So let's say while each row, of course we're going to have one row. So let's say each row equals to MySQL underscore fetch assert. So this is associative array of the results. So this is our query result. So we want to fetch the associative results of the result of associative array of the result. Now we have the so from here. Now I can actually get or if I say print underscore r the row. So if I print out the row, so this print r will print all the information, including the variables, um, the, the number of items, each items, their length, their size, their type, everything about this row. So let's go back. Let's submit the form again. Undefined variable SQL, just as I thought, on line 17. Okay, I've actually in the config.php what happened. Maybe I can refresh that. So let's go again. Oops, this is supposed to be SQL, not $QL. This is SQL. I'm sure you've seen that. Okay, all right. Number of row. Okay, this. Oh, this actually have to be the users table. So we are selecting all from this table, which is the users table, where email equals to email. So if I go back to refresh this, okay, I think I've got it. Okay, now, so that means if we have user, we should have this, and else this should happen. So it should take us back to the login page, telling us that there's a problem with either the email or the password. Now, let me put so this is my email. Whoops. So let us use random password. Now we have the user. So simply because we only test for if the user is available. Now we have the user. The ID is one. The user ID is this. Then the email is this, and password is password. Okay, perfect. Okay, so when we have the user, what do we want to do with that? So the first thing we want to do is to get the ID, the user ID. This is the user ID. So I'll say user ID equals to row, then user ID. Okay, so row user ID. So terminate that. Now, in order for us to manage logged in user, there's an object in PHP we call section object. So I'm gonna set the session. What am I doing? Session start. So I'll start the session first of all. Now, cool. So I'm gonna say session. Now I'll say section logged in, or let's say UID equals to user ID. So basically, we're telling the system is okay. So we'll say it is a super global variable session, then set session. So what we are saying is that the logged in user ID is this. Okay. So if this is happening, we want to change the location. We want to redirect the user to pam this, so which is the home page. We want to redirect the user to the home page. But if this, oh, first of all, we have to test for the password. If the password is actually the same thing with this password, we have the user's information now. So I would say if password, did I use password? If password equals um, row password. So that means if this and this, if they're the same thing, that means the login information is valid. Then we redirect it to the home page. Else, we will redirect back to the login page. So we're actually done with this. Now let's test it. So let's go back to login.php. Okay, so I'll type this, take me back. I'll type, I'll leave it empty, take me back. I'll say logic to book with one password, take me back with password. Okay, so this is the home page. So that means this is perfectly working. Now we have set a section user. If I go back to my home page, let me just copy this. So for us to see who is logged in, if I go back to my home page, I say echo. So I want to echo out whatever we have inside our user ID. If I refresh that, sorry, before I can actually do that, you can see that from here I started a section. So I need to just copy this and just start the section while before I call the session variable, then refresh. Upon unable, Yes, that is. Oops. This has to be 2s as a session. So that means we have a bug to fix here. This is double S. So unknown variable KUID. So I was actually expecting that. Let's go back to login. Login of PHP. Valid password. Okay, so this is actually the section ID. So this is the logged in user's ID. So like right here we have the user ID. So this is it. Now let's just have a button that says logout. Logout. So go to let's direct this thing to logout as PHP. Okay. So let's have another file here. Let's call it logout.php. Okay, so from here we don't want to do much. We only want to uh, destroy the session. That is to destroy the session. To destroy the section. Then section we have to actually clear. We have to actually clear that using session on set. Okay. So with this, we have successfully logged out from the system. Then I can now say header. So this is to change the location to redirect the page to login.php. So this is actually login and logout. So if I refresh that, we have this. Go back. So if I go back to the home page, still have this. We still have that. What happened? Session destroy, session unset, then session UID equals to empty. While session underscore start. What is this? And don't forget this is super global. So I will use this. So if I log in again, okay, so log out. If I go back, the key is not available. So that means we have successfully logged out. Okay. Now, before we move down to the home page, let's quickly implement the sign up. So what we actually need here is the value of this, 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 and we are good to go. So when I submit this, okay, now I'm going to create sign up.php. So we will be using JavaScript to submit the sign up page. You know, whenever the page reloads, the sign up will be hidden. But if there's any issue in the form, probably the form did not get submitted or something, we won't be seeing it. So we are going to use JavaScript to submit it and get the results from PHP and then update the UI. So for the first name, I'm gonna put name for all this. I'll say first name. Whoops. This first name. This is let's make this is last name. We're having two first name there. So name, last name, name, email or phone, name, password. Okay, so for this we will say DDOB, that is days. We said MDOB, we said YDOB. Okay, so for this gender, name, gender. Okay, all right, fine. So I'm going to toggle this. Then this sign up, I'm going to say Control 2, so we can have it side by side. Then for this one, I'm going to open this login.php, close this back. Okay. Now the first one is first name. So in order for us to begin writing PHP code, we have to do that and close it using this. Now inside this place, I want to check if it's set. We haven't named the sign up button yet. So let's quickly name that. Oops, we are using JavaScript to actually submit the form. Okay, of course, we have to say if it's set. Just say if it's set post. Let's just pass in action for now. So let's just pass in action for now. Okay, now we want to get all the inputs. We are going to be using JavaScript to get all the inputs. So let's take care of that first of all. To send the data, we are going to be using JavaScript. Now, so let me declare. Okay, I think I have um where is it? Okay, yeah, the JS folder. I have login.js. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to target if this button is clicked. That is the sign up button. This is login. Where is sign up? So this is sign up button. I'm gonna pass in ID, sign up btn. So if this is clicked, so I'll use jQuery to do that. Say this is ID. I'll say dots on passing click, then function. So this function will take in an event which we are going to prevent defaults. So this means that the form will not get submitted, like reloading the page as usual. Now let's say variable data, which is the data we are going to be submitting to the server. So our first name, we are going to be using their ID also. So let's just search for whatever, oops, wherever we have name equals to, I'll press Ctrl D. So that is not good. Oh, so let's just do this. Search. Wherever we have Ctrl D, wherever we have name equals, we are going to press Ctrl D. Is this thing highlighted? Or probably I don't want it to affect the login, so I'm just going to be, so I was going to use, oh, I can't actually change this. I have to pass in another one. I have to pass in, okay, we can't actually change this because this is what is making them to be working together. So that when you click this, this is going to be void, and when you click this, this will be void. So now let's get the first name, the last name, email or phone. Say first name. So first name equals, I'm just going to pass this first name dot value, last name. So this is ID, so we have to use the pound sign. Whoops. So this has to be comma because we are dealing with JavaScript objects now. Okay, so email or phone, email or phone dot var. So this is jQuery. So we are using this to get the value of all these tags. So we need a password. Let's say password dot val. So this is also ID. Okay, so we need to get all these data bits one by one. So I'm gonna get DDOB, MDOB, and YDOB, the value. So I'll say dates, DOB, plus to D, I don't know what I did over there. So this is what we're trying to get. DDOB dot val, copy that, paste it 2 times, month DOB, and this for the last one will YDOB. This has to be commas, not semicolon. Okay. Now that we have all the data except the gender, yeah, the gender. So this is what I'm going to do. Here, I'm gonna say get element with ID. This is jQuery. Get element with ID sign up form. Then I'm gonna say under that get the input with name of gender. That is actually the name of the gender video button. So name equals gender. Then I'm gonna say checked. I think this should be here. Checked. So if this is checked, so any one of the gender radio button that is checked, then we are getting the value just like this. Yeah. Okay. So I think we're done. Okay. So we just want to console log the data. once we click the button, once we console log the data, but we're not going to do that right now. Let us proceed. So we have this sign up inside the includes folder. We have this sign up. Let me increase this. Okay, we have this sign up, but I don't want anything coming directly from JavaScript. I want it to be to be going directly into the API folder. So this will serve as our API. So inside that, I'll just move this sign up, only the sign up. I'll move it down here. Okay, perfect. Move. All right. So now we want to check if they actually submit, if the user actually submit the button. That is, if it's set request, I'm going to change the post to request. So if it's set request, so we can just put action here because we might actually need to do some other things on the sign up page. Probably, yeah, I don't know. Um, we set password we set and all that. So let us use request then action. So if this is set right now, so back to the login JS. Okay, so we want to get all this, but before we do that, we want to submit this form first. So I'm going to set this. I'm going to say fetch. Okay, so let us go with jQuery. So I'm going to say Ajax. Okay, Ajax. Then I'm going to set the URL to API forward slash. So this is actually on the home page. So API forward slash sign up dot php. So the form will be submitted to this URL, which is this URL, this file right here. Okay. So I'm gonna set method. Probably. Okay, let's go method. Let's go post. Let's go post. Okay. Now let's go data. Data. So we are just gonna put this as the data. That is the data. Let's go cache. Or probably let's just say success. So this is if the form actually gets submitted, and so obviously there should be something coming. So we're gonna save whatever that is coming from our API into this D folder, into this T variable. Then we're just gonna console log that. Console log D. So let's do that. So what we're actually gonna send back from the API is going to be a JSON response. So we are actually going to convert whatever that is coming in. So let's just say const results equals to JSON dot pass. So that is we want to convert whatever that is coming into JSON. So I just say console log results also. Alright, so we're gonna leave this like this for now because we don't actually know what's coming. Okay, so back to this one. Back to this one. Okay, so let's get all variables from the request. Okay, so so I just press Ctrl 2 from here, so it's going to create another panel for me right here. So I can open the two side by side. So I'm going to toggle this. Okay, so I set variable first name equals to requests first name. So this is a first name. So request first name. Terminate that. In PHP, you have to terminate each statement. So say last name equals request last name. Okay, now let's say email. Let's say email that should be empty for now. Now let's say phone, that should also be empty for now. Now email or phone equals request, whatever that is coming with the name email or phone. Okay. Now the dates of birth, the date. How should we do this? Okay, because I actually want the user to be able to change whatever they want to change. So I'm gonna split it also. Let's say DOB, that is the date of birth. Is whatever that is coming with the name date of birth. Let's say MDOB, whatever that is coming with month date of birth. Let's say YDOB, whatever that is coming with the name of year DOB. Okay. And lastly, the gender goes to whatever that is coming with the name gender. Okay. Okay. All right. So I want to quickly do some validation. So of course I want to check if this is phone or is email. And of course an email address must possess this, must have this. So I'm gonna say if string post. Okay, so if string post, that is if this exists in email or phone, if this does exist, so that means the variable email right there, email equals the email or phone. All right, but else phone equals email or phone. So this is very simple. So we first check if at does exist from this um the user inputs. So if we have hearts there somewhere there, that means this is an email address, else is a phone number. Okay, so again, we don't actually get password. This should have a password. This should have a password. Yeah, new password. What am I doing? Oh yeah, that's a password is there. Let's keep that. So let's say password equals whatever we have coming with name of password. Okay. Now let's quickly do some validation. Okay. So let's say we want to check if the the first name is empty or the last name is empty, or you can just say empty and pass in. Let's say the next one is email or phone. So we are still saying the same thing. So this is if it's an empty string. This is also if it's empty. So if you put your mouse here, so this is going to return either boolean value, whether it's empty or not. We just want to stick to one. So let's just say if this is empty, or let's do this. Okay, so the GOB. So we don't want to actually do any validation from our JavaScript. just to prevent online attack. So I'll say again or month dob equals to empty, or year dob equals to empty, or gender equals to empty, or what else? Okay, the password equals to empty. So since we are going to be returning a JSON, so that means I can just close this. So since we are going to be returning JSON, what is this? Okay. So we want to have a response. Okay. Let me have a variable response. So this will be whatever we want to return. So it's going to be an array. Then back here, so if all this is empty, then we're just going to say response status equals false. Then for the user to actually know what's going on, say response message equals let's just go all fields are required. Okay. Okay, so should we do password validation? Okay, let's just try that. Let's give it a try. So if password, how should we validate this? How should we validate this? Okay, so let's just go with the, I don't know. Let's just go, should we go counts? Okay, let's just go with the length of the password. How do we do that? Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, I think this is it. No, I'm not used to PHP again. So say string length. So this will actually get the length of the string for us. So string length of password. So if this is less than 8, they want to tell the user. Okay, so I want to tell the user that, hey, your password is not strong enough, something like that. But from here, if this does happen, we want to terminate the process by returning JSON.encode JSON.encode response. Just go JSON pretty prints. Okay, so if this does happen, oops, JSON, that is perfect. So and again, if this happens, we just want to return from here. Okay, So enough of validation. So in order to just save our time. All right, now one more thing. So let's check if the user is already exists, probably the email address or the phone number. So let's say check if the record exists. Okay. So now we want to say we want to have a query. Let's just call it check query. So this will say select or from, I can't remember the name of the table. Just go back. Let me say PHP my admin. I'll go to PHP my admin. So I'm actually looking for the name of the table. Okay, where's the database? This database. Okay, users. Okay, so select all from users. Where? Let's open this. Okay, so where the email. Okay, where email equals whatever we have here, email or phone. So we don't want to actually use the validated one. We don't want to actually do that. Okay, what's email or phone or phone equals, whoops, who said this? Delete that. So phone equals same email or phone. Don't make mistake there. Email or phone. Okay. Now let's say we have results equals MySQL underscore query. We want to have database and this query check results query. Now we want to say if my SQLi underscore number of rows of our results is greater than 0. So that means we have something in the database already with probably the phone number or the email. Then we just want to tell the user that email or phone has been used. Please try again. Okay. So and this is going to exit the process again. Okay. But if everything is okay, we just want to save all the data into the database. Okay, so the data again, so I just want Control 2 again, drag my login.js here. I don't want to do it this way because if we check our database, we don't have all the records, all the fields in order to insert our records. So I'm gonna navigate to structure. Okay, so right from here, I want to add columns right after password. So let me add like 6, 8, 8 for now. So let me add like 8. Okay. So what are we putting there? We want to have first name, last name, email, phone, date of birth, the month, the year, gender, then date registered. So go first name, go last name, go email. Oops, we have email already. So just go phone or telephone. Then we'll go gender. we'll go day, DOB. So just for us to know what is actually going on. Month, DOB. Then we'll go year, DOB. I don't know. Just feel like splitting this. Okay, so we have this, and this. Yeah, I think we're cool. Okay, so dates registered. Okay, so for the last name in voucher, give this 100. I don't know how long your name want to be. It can be more than 100. So put 100 here again. Let's go 100, but this should be variable character, variable character, variable character. Date registered. This should be date time. Where is it? Okay, date time. Then again, last login. Gonna have last login. Where is that column? Add column. Where is it? Go back in time. Okay, so for gender, let's go 50. For date of birth, let's go 50. In fact, 10, because this is only just going to be from 1 to 30 or 1 to 31. So months, let's go 10 also. So for the year, let's go 10. Then dates registered. Right from here, you say current timestamp. Okay. All right. So just go. Okay. So there's something that I actually want to add. So let's go again and add just one right after dates registered. So let's say last login. Okay, just to target our users activity. So here's the current timestamp. Save. All right. So I'm gonna click on query, then insert, then copy all this. What is copy? Oh my god. So copy that. Then you want to have a query variable which will be equals to, and paste this right here. Okay. Yeah, I'm done with this. Take it back. Okay, so right from here, so you can just press Alt Z in order to straighten this. You know, this is straight like this. Then when you say Alt Z, it's gonna break it for you, just to avoid scrolling horizontally. So ID, of course, this will be none. So user ID, we want to generate a user ID. So let me just say generate a unique ID. Okay, so I'm just gonna say characters. So the unique ID is gonna be from ABCD. Let's go capital letter ABCDF GHIJKLMNOPQRSTUVWXYZ and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay. So what we want to do is to actually shovel this, shovel this. So it should be string underscore shovel. So we want to shovel the character. Then we want to pick randomly, say user ID. Just want to pick just 10 characters. So 10, we want to say substring. Whoops. Substring. Okay. So substring, this is going to return parts of a string. So that is, you have to specify the starting points and the end points. So let's say the string is going to be sub, which is the shovel. Then you want to start from the position 0 and want to end at position. So let us keep the ID to be like, I don't know, phone number, that's 11. So what we're actually saying here is that we want to start from position 0 and end at position 11 right here. But if I keep doing this for all the users, we're going to be having the same IDs. So that's why I have to shovel the characters first. So this is going to shovel all this. Then we want to pick from the shovel from position 0, whatever is at position 0 till position 11. So we have our user ID right there. Okay, so user ID, email, password, first name, last name, telephone, gender, DOB year, date registered, last login. Okay, so right from here, the value 1, I want to put null. So because it is ID, is going to be automatically is our primary key. So for the next one, which is the user ID, we just generated the user ID. I want to do this user ID. So the next one, value 3, is the email. So I'm gonna pass email there. So the next one is the password. We want to pass password there, but we don't want to just leave this password like this. We want to hash the password for security purpose. So I'm gonna say hash user password. So create a comment. Now let's say hash variable hash equals to, I want to say password underscore hash. So we want to hash the user's password. So this is going to take in the user's password. Then the hash method, we're just going to say password underscore default for the hash method. Now instead of passing the password here, I'm just going to pass hash. So that is the hashed password. So the next one after that is the first name. First name. The next one is the last name. So after the last name, I have the telephone. Whoops. Okay, yeah, we have phone. Phone, yeah. So after the telephone, we have the gender. After the gender, we have the DOB. After that, we have the MDOB. After that, we have YDOB. Then after that, we have the date registered. So this is just going to be current timestamp. Just pass current timestamp. Oops, something is wrong there. Current. Oh, time on stamp. Yeah, current timestamp. This is going to just give us date time dot now. That is the current time and the date. So last login, we don't want to put anything here for now. So delete that. Okay. So one thing I actually noticed is the email and the phone. We have to declare them as empty string. Okay, yeah, we did that already. Okay. So the next thing to do now is to save this into the database, to insert that into the database. I'm gonna say results equals to SQL underscore query, then SQL, which is our database, and this query. Now this should return, this insert should return a true or false. Now I want to check if this is true. That is, if we actually insert something, if the operation was success, we just want to tell the user that the registration is now completed and successful. So, and the status will change to true. Your account has been created. Please proceed to log in with your email and password. This is too wrong. So please proceed to log in. So please proceed to log in. Okay. But else, we just want to tell the user that something went wrong. So this change back to false. Oops, what is this? What am I doing? Oh, actually copy all this. No. No, 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 no. This is the only thing we need right here. So we want to say if this is successful, then we want to tell the user that wow, that's great. Else, false, and just tell them that something went wrong. Please try again. Okay. Okay. All right then. So now what is coming here is going to be the message and the status. Now let's say if result the status equals to false, so that means we have a problem. That means we have a problem. So I just want to output this inside a form report division. I think I just did something. What happened? Okay. Inside the reports, so I'm gonna say text equals to result the message. That is whatever that is coming from the reports. And obviously, we'll do the same thing right here. Or probably just do it once. So we just do it once like that. Then from here, we can now add the danger class, add class, uh, text danger. And from here, we can now add class text success. Text success. Okay, so now let's look for this report um, ID because we don't have it yet. So I'm just going to navigate to login .php. Then have a division with ID reports. ID reports. So there's nothing here, anyways. So just gonna leave it like that. Okay. So now let's see if we are doing good. So I'm just gonna refresh the page, then create new account. say buffer. Just put anything here because we actually have a phone number. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, let's go 7. So just to text all the validations. Oops, let's go mail. This actually refresh. That means something is wrong somewhere. So I'm just gonna press Ctrl Shift I in order to see my JavaScript output right here. So if that actually refresh, that means something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. What am I doing wrong? Okay. Okay. Let's go again. Let me just go back. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Yeah, I'm suspecting this place. I'm suspecting that place. Oh, man, this is hard. Okay, let me just bring this come to the way like this. Okay, okay. So this is not found. 404 that is not found. API. Oops. Okay, so this is actually the problem. We are inside the local host, so we don't have to use this. This is going to go back to the main directory, which is the local host. So that is where the problem is. So let us refresh and go again. So just pass random password, random this, random that. Let's see what else do we have. Unexpected JSON. So this is actually coming from the PHP. So let's go to network and click here. What happened? Oops. Oops. Okay, yeah, I got it. From here we have to actually print this. Then we'll say return, probably return false or use die, just anything. So that is where the problem is. So to that, print that. So I'm just replacing everywhere we have this. Okay, so let's refresh again. Let's try it again. What is the password? Okay. Network. Sign up. 404 not found. Happened. Oh, 404 not found. 404 not found. Why? 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 So this is our project folder. Then we have API. Then sign up.php. Oh, this JavaScript right here is inside the JavaScript folder. So we have to go back and let me just do this. So we have to go back like that. I think that should fix the problem. Just take it back. Oh, problem fixed. Cancel. So right here. Actually, loading. We are loading this. API / Okay. Okay. So this is so I just passed this instead of using the double full stop. I don't know. Why is that like that? Okay, so we still have an error. Now let's go to network. Let's see the preview. Nothing coming. Let's see the response. Let me go back. Let's say print hello. Okay, yeah. This is where the problem is. So we can see that if it's set request action, but in our request here, we don't have anything like action. I mean, here, we don't have anything like action. So what we can do now is to say action, just pass sign up. So action, let just pass sign up. So this is just for security. So I'm going to refresh that. Again, let's go again. Let's go again. Submit. Okay, no error this time around. Okay, so now this is telling us that your password is not strong enough. I don't think this angle is good for password. I mean for reports to actually get the form reports. Anyways, let's just leave it that way. You can position it anyhow. Okay, so let's try and use this. Let's try and use this email. Let's go again. The password is not strong enough. So we have this. So we just increase the password to necessary. Okay, yeah. I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this undefined variable SQL. So this problem is because we haven't import the SQL, the connection. So this is it, config.php. So I'm gonna say include, go back to include / config.php. So we have that hooked in. So let me go again. Okay. Must be type MySQL underscore results. Where is that? Okay, this is line 51. This always happen. I don't know. Okay, this is the check query. This is where the problem is. Yeah, you see this phone is supposed to be okay. Okay, I think this is correct. Now we didn't use phone, we use telephone in the database. So I'm just gonna go again. So this is just one good thing about using JavaScript to submit form to the backend. So you don't actually have to refresh. You just have to keep doing the process. So email or phone has been used. Please try again. Okay, that is good. Okay, so let me use phone number. Oops, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, where is it? Now let me use phone number to register. Say your account has been created. Please proceed to login. But this was supposed to change to, I don't know, success right here. That didn't work. Probably will say remove class. We have to remove the danger class. Remove class. Then we had success. Then here, let's just remove up, up. Let's come here and just say remove both the danger and the success class. So just say, so these two are Bootstrap classes. So when you're using Bootstrap, you have access to all the functions. So we have the user created already. So we just have to log into the account now. Oh my god, I don't know the password. Okay, so we use password hash back there. So if I refresh my database, now we now have the password like this instead of being raw like this. Okay, so that means if we want to log in, we can't use the normal if password equals to password. So we have to actually convert the hash. We have to text it if it's the same thing. So I'll go back to my login where I declare the login inside the includes. So I said if password equals to the raw password, but we can't do it like that. We have to say if password verify, oops, password verify. Now I want to verify the password if the hash is the same thing with the original password. So password, and this is the hash that will be inside the database. Oops. So put one here. So if they are actually the same, that means the password is correct. And if it's not, if this return false, that means the password is not correct. Okay. Whoops. Oh, if you are here, please move this down because you have to actually set the you have to actually start the user section after you verify all the credentials. We don't want to do that before verifying all the credentials. Okay, so we have these two right here. So let's go back, and I don't know this password. So what I'll just do is I always have a text file. Probably if I need to text a PHP script, so I'll say test.php. So I want to quickly generate another password. so as to replace the one in the database. So I'll say print password underscore hash. So I just want to hash the word password, or let's just say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and password. This will be capital letter, password underscore default. So if I run this script now, I won't get this line of code right here. I will only get the hash version of 1 to 8. So if I open another tab, say local 8080, and don't mind me for the 8080, just go normal localhost Facebook / tests.php. Okay, so this is the hash version of password. So I'm going to replace these two. Just say, where is it? Just say edit. So paste password right there. And if you look at the user ID that is generated here, it's different from your own. If you open your own, so it will be different. That's why we shovel it in order to get a random user ID. So let's go. Okay. So for this one, just paste. Okay. Okay. Now, so the registration is successful. So if I try running it again, email or phone has been used. And if you check our database, my email is actually empty. Then we check my phone is there. So simply because we've used to check if the art is actually exist. So I'll close this and my phone. So copy my phone number. This is not my phone number, but this is my phone number. And just type password here. So of course, if I click login, this should return incorrect password. That is simply because if you check our login script inside the includes, let me just close all of this and retain this one as a close order. So if we check this login PHP script right here, we test for email. We don't test for telephone. So I'm gonna say how. So that means you can use the telephone number to log in. You can also use the the email address to log in, or telephone equals the user email. Then at the same time, or user underscore ID. So that means you can also use the user ID to log in. I think Facebook did that. So I just copy it to the fullest. Say email. Okay. So we want to test if the user inputs match either of these three: the email, the user ID, and the telephone. Okay. So just gonna close this. My phone number and password is password. Oops, another one. Password. Oh, something is going on. Where email equals to email, or telephone equals to telephone. Telephone equals to email, or user ID. So let's say if what's going on with me. So let's use logic or blue book. Oops, that the password is 1 to 8. How am I doing this? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 to 8. Okay, so we are here now. So we print out the user ID whenever we are logged in into the system. So I'm going to log out again. Then I'm going to use, so now you can actually use your user ID or your username or your email or your phone number to log in. So let's try user ID. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So still the same thing. So the next thing I'm gonna do now is to actually change the password right here inside the login form. The password, the type is password. So what am I having? Oh, inside the login form? Okay, so let's toggle the sign up. So inside the login form right here, so password type should be password, and that will be all. Okay, guys. So in the next step, we are going to be designing the home page of Facebook.